Hey guys, it's Emily here from Live Your Best Life Health and Wellness Coaching. So recently I've had a little bit of kind of a gap of motivation. And yes, I'm a health coach. Yes, I help coach people to have motivation, but that doesn't mean that I'm perfect, right? So I want to be able to coach people on how to be motivated and keep on going if I haven't experienced it myself. So what do you do when you can't find that motivation and you get in a slump? I tell my clients and myself that you are your best motivation. So I usually look back on my success stories and see how much I've grown. And that's when I realized that I was not being the badass that I promised myself I would be. And so that sparked this train of thought of, okay, why did I become a health coach in the first place? And a lot of health coaches in my certification program, and even just people that I randomly meet that know I'm a health coach, are curious, oh, okay, why'd you get into that? You were in financial consulting, mergers and acquisitions, high paying job. Like, why the hell would you want to go so risky? And so I thought about it, and I thought it was time to share why I did that. And so today is the first of 27 days of Project #Badass, because this book by Sincero, I don't know if you guys have read it, but this is not only my favorite book ever made, but this is the book that sparked everything for me. So I'm going to tell you how, and then I'm going to tell you about what this whole Project Badass thing for 27 days is, so that you're not just listening here wondering what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, so if y'all know Core Power Yoga, and if you knew me about 2 years ago, I did not do yoga. I was very much into HIIT workouts and body strength workouts, running. I loved yoga. I was like, not for me. So my roommate came home. She went to Core Power almost religiously, like every day. And she asked me if I want to go on this yoga retreat to Costa Rica. This is back in February 2016. And I sat there, I was like, Lizzie, no. If I'm going to pay the money to go to Costa Rica, I'm going to go to Costa Rica and lay on the beach all day and go out and drink and eat. I thought she was crazy. And so I kind of dropped it for a little bit. And Lizzie ended up not being able to go because of some work stuff. I don't remember. And so it wasn't really on my mind either. A few days later, my coworker at the time in my finance job suggested the book, You Are a Badass. And forewarning, I do not like to read. I'm not a huge reader. I much rather prefer talking, even though that wasn't a full sentence. And I just have a hard time like sitting still, hence me being very active. So I was like, okay, and it's a self-help book. I didn't really know, but she was very convincing and I ordered it. 2 days later, because Amazon Prime delivery, not sponsored, but should be, I got the book and I started reading it. I remember it was the morning I'd just gotten into my corporate job, and I sat down to a bunch of emails, and I brought the book with me because I thought that I was going to have some downtime during the day. Hey, Val. And so I opened it up. Don't tell my former employer, but I opened it up at the beginning of the day instead of looking at the emails, and I just glanced through the introduction, and about, let's see, I think it was 3 pages in, something came over me and I booked that yoga retreat to Costa Rica on my own. Lizzie couldn't go. I had never done yoga before. The retreat was in 30 days. So I had 30 days to learn how to do yoga. I was going on my first solo vacation retreat, whatever you want to call it. This was so spontaneous of me. I was super accountant before booking this trip. All right, so now you know my trip story. I've told this to a ton of people, but now you all know. So what does this have to do with Project Badass? I got the book, and when I booked the trip, I knew that this somehow triggered it. But this past week, when I've been feeling a little demotivated, I was thinking about what brought me to coaching in the first place. And I thought about this book. If you don't read, that's fine. Just buy it and have it sitting there on your desk. This book, I should be a sponsor for it, but I'm not. Literally, I talk about this book so much. And not because everyone needs to read it, not because it's like the holy grail, but it's because of the message. So today I looked back at the intro and I was curious what sparked my intention to book that trip. Like, there was something that must have been super fucking powerful for me to have read in order to book a trip for thousands of dollars to a yoga retreat that I had never heard of being at Core Power or even doing yoga. All right, so now it's story time. I'm going to read to you this passage. So this is the 3rd page of the intro. Hey, Sage. And it says, this is about getting mighty clear about what makes you happy and what makes you feel most alive, and then creating it instead of pretending you can't have it or that you don't deserve it. You can't see me. Or that you're a greedy, egomaniacal fathead for wanting more than you already have, or listening to what Dad and Aunt Mary think you should be doing. It's about having the cojones to show up as the brightest, happiest, badassiest version of yourself, whatever that looks like for you. The good news is that in order to do this, all you need to do is make one simple shift. I remember reading that thinking, this is ridiculous. There's not one shift, otherwise everyone would be doing what they want to do. And she says, you need to go from wanting to change your life to deciding to change your life. And then in big letters, she wrote, wanting can be done sitting on the couch with a bong in your hand and a travel magazine in your lap. We've all been there. Deciding means jumping in all the way, doing whatever it takes, and going after your dreams with the tenacity of a dateless cheerleader a week before prom night. So I imagined myself as a dateless cheerleader a week before prom night, and I booked the trip. I wasn't a cheerleader, and I had a date to prom. But that's not the point. The point is that I chose to remind myself of why the hell I'm doing what I'm doing in the first place. And that is what 27 days of being a badass is going to be about. So if you're with me, if you want to be a badass for 27 days, if you want to show up to these Insta lives and talk about what we are doing, what we're struggling with, and talk about quotes from the book, because those are the best quotes you can ever find, then make in the comments, write hashtag I'm a badass. Because one, you are. You might have just not tapped into it yet. And 2, this is going to be really fun. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow with day 2.